why God keeps you alive after 60. The purpose of your life after 60 light up faith. What if the real question is not, why am I still alive? But why hasn't God let me go yet? Think about that, because there are people stronger than you gone, people younger than you gone, people who had more plans, more dreams, more time gone, and yet you woke up again today, another breath, another heartbeat, another quiet morning that feels almost ordinary, but it's not ordinary at all, because heaven does not make mistakes with time. Every extra day you're given is intentional. Every breath you take is permission to finish something that is not finished. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because deep down, you don't always feel grateful for that. Sometimes you feel confused. Sometimes you feel tired of waking up. Sometimes you look at your life and quietly wonder, what exactly am I still here for? Not out loud, not dramatically, just a silent question that lingers, especially at night. Especially in those moments when everything slows down and the noise disappears and all that's left is you and your thoughts. That's where the truth begins to surface. Because life after a certain point changes. The house gets quieter, the phone rings less, the world moves faster, but somehow you feel like you're standing still. And the most dangerous thought begins to form. My time has passed. That thought is subtle, that IT doesn't scream, that IT whispers. And the longer you listen to it, the more real it feels. But what if that thought is a lie? What if it's not the end of your story, but the beginning of the most important part? Because God has a pattern. And once you see it, you can never unsee it, that He waits until everything looks finished. Then He starts something eternal. Let me take you somewhere, a dry, endless desert, in oh applause, in oh audience, in oh sign of destiny. Just sand, silence, and a man who once had everything, power, education, position, gone, replaced by routine, day after day, walking with sheep, and oh excitement, and oh recognition. Just survival. 40 years, not 40 days, not a season. 40 years of what looked like wasted time. Imagine that. 40 years waking up with no sign that your life matters. 40 years carrying the weight of a mistake you can't undo. 40 years wondering if you missed your only chance. That kind of silence changes a person. To IT reshapes how you see yourself. That IT slowly convinces you that maybe this is all there is. And that's exactly where most people give up. Not loudly, but internally. They stop expecting. They stop dreaming. They stop believing anything significant is still possible. But here's what they don't realize. God often does His deepest work in hidden seasons, not on stages, not in spotlight moments, but in silence, because silence forces transformation. That IT strips away, e.g., ode. IT removes dependence on applause. IT teaches you to survive without validation. And when all of that is gone, what's left is something pure, something usable, something ready. And then, suddenly, without warning, everything changes. That a bush catches fire, but it doesn't burn. That alone is strange. But what's even stranger is that the fire begins to speak, not to a king, not to a warrior, but to a man who thought his life was already over. And the voice says something unexpected. Not you failed, not you wasted time, not where have you been. Instead, it calls him again. And in that moment, all the buried questions come rushing back. Who am I? That question hits deeper than it sounds, because it's not really about identity. It's about doubt. It's about years of believing you're no longer capable of anything meaningful. That it's about looking at your hands and wondering if they still have purpose. And here's what makes this moment so powerful. God doesn't argue with his doubt. He doesn't try to convince him he's great. He doesn't list his strengths. That he simply says, I will be with you. Because purpose was never about ability. IT was always about presence. And maybe that's what you've misunderstood all along, that you've been measuring your life by what you can still do. God measures it by what He can still do through you. And those are not the same thing, because when your strength decreases, His becomes more visible. When your energy fades, his power becomes undeniable. When your confidence disappears, your dependence finally becomes complete. And that's when real purpose begins. Let me ask you something. What if your slow years were not a delay, but a design? What if every loss you experienced, every goodbye, every disappointment, every silent prayer that felt unanswered was shaping something inside you that cannot be rushed? Because God does not waste pain, He repurposes it. He turns it into wisdom, into compassion, into a voice that can reach people no one else can reach. And that's why you're still here. Not because you're holding on, but because you're being held for something. But now, the tension rises again, because not everyone responds the same way to waiting. Some people grow bitter. Some people lose faith. Some people shrink into comfort and slowly disappear from their own story. But then, there are the rare ones, the ones who wait and somehow become stronger. And one man proves this in a way that almost feels impossible. Imagine carrying a promise for 45 years. 45. That's longer than most people's careers. Longer than most dreams survive. 45 years of believing something without seeing it. That kind of waiting can destroy hope. Or it can refine it. And when the moment finally came, he didn't hesitate. He didn't doubt. He didn't say, maybe it's too late. He said something shocking. Give me this mountain, not safety, not comfort. A mountain at 85 years old. Think about that. Most people at that age are looking for rest. He was asking for a challenge. Why? Because real faith does not it matures, it deepens, it becomes unshakable. And here's the truth you need to hear right now. If God placed something in your heart, time cannot erase it. If God made a promise, delay cannot cancel it. If you're still alive, it means the assignment is still active. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking. You stopped believing. You convinced yourself that your best days are behind you. But what if they're not? What if everything you've been through was not leading you to an ending, but preparing you for a beginning? Because here's the reality. God doesn't call people when they feel ready. He calls them when they're prepared. And preparation often looks like loss. It looks like waiting. It looks like silence. It looks like seasons where nothing makes sense. But those are the seasons that build unshakable purpose. If you're still here, if you're still breathing, if something inside you still feels unsettled, that's not emptiness, that's calling, that's the signal that your story is not over. In fact, it might just be starting. And the only question left is, are you willing to believe that? But here's where everything becomes even more intense, because it's one thing to believe your purpose still exists. It's another thing to keep believing after disappointment. And this is where most people break. Not because they're weak, but because they're tired of hoping for something that never seems to come. Let's be honest, some prayers don't fade. They don't disappear. They just go quiet. You stop talking about them. You stop expecting them. You even stop thinking about them sometimes, but deep down, they're still there, waiting, buried under years of silence. And the dangerous part is this. You start telling yourself a story. Maybe it wasn't meant for me. Maybe I missed my chance. Maybe God said no, and I just didn't hear it. But what if that's not true? What if heaven never said no? What if heaven simply said, not yet? There was a couple faithful, disciplined, committed to God. Even when life didn't reward them for it, they did everything right. They prayed, they served, they stayed obedient, and still one thing never happened. The one thing they longed for most. Year after year, nothing, and eventually, silence became their normal. Not rebellion, not anger, just quiet acceptance, the kind that says it's okay. I understand, even when your heart doesn't. And then one ordinary day, God interrupted everything in in a warning. Just a moment, a divine moment. Your prayer has been heard. Can you imagine hearing that about something you stopped praying for years ago? That changes everything, because it means God was listening, even when you stopped speaking. God was working, even when you saw nothing. God was remembering what you thought was forgotten. And here's the deeper truth. Some answers take longer, because they carry greater weight. What they received wasn't just a blessing, that IT was a turning point in history. And maybe, just maybe, that's why your answer hasn't come yet, because it's not just about you, it's about who will be impacted through you. But now, let's go deeper, because even when the answer finally comes, there's still something that can block you: doubt, because disappointment leaves scars, and those scars don't disappear overnight. Even when God shows up, part of you hesitates, part of you questions, part of you whispers, can this really still happen for me? And here's what you need to understand. God is not afraid of your doubt. He doesn't withdraw because you question. He doesn't cancel your promise because you struggle to believe. He stays. He works through it. He completes what he started, even in imperfect hearts. But now, we step into one of the most powerful turning points of all. Failure. Not small failure. Not a mistake you can hide, but the kind that breaks you. The kind that makes you question who you even are anymore. There was a man, bold, passionate, close to truth itself, that he saw miracles, that he walked in purpose, that he believed deeply. And yet, in one moment of fear, he collapsed. Not once, 3 times, denied everything he once stood for. And when it happened, it wasn't just public failure. It was personal destruction. Because nothing hurts more than disappointing yourself. That moment, it echoes, it replays in your mind. IT follows you into quiet places. That IT whispers, this is who you really are. And most people never recover from that voice. They run, they hide, they go back to what feels safe, even if it's empty. They settle for less because they believe they've lost the right to something greater. But this is where the story shifts, because he wasn't abandoned, he was pursued. Think about that. After everything, he wasn't replaced, he wasn't rejected, he was sought out. And when he was found, there was no accusation, shamed, replay of the failure. Just one question: do you love me? Because God doesn't restore you by reminding you of your past. He restores you by reconnecting you to your purpose. And in that moment, something powerful happened. Failure lost its authority. Not because it didn't happen, but because it no longer defined the future. And that's what you need to hear right now. Your worst moment is not your final identity. Your mistake is not your destiny. Your past does not have the final say. Because if restoration is real, then your story is still being written. But even after all that, there's still one final barrier people hold on to. It's too late for me. Too late to change. Too late to return. Too late to matter. And that lie has stopped more people than failure ever did. But then comes a moment, a scene so powerful it destroys that lie completely. Guilty, broken T, the very end of his life. No time left. No future to fix. No opportunity to prove anything. And yet, in one single moment, everything changed. He didn't perform, he didn't earn, he didn't clean up his past. He simply said, remember me. That's that in perfection, in long speech. Just honesty, just surrender. And instantly grace responded, today, you will be with me. Today, not later. Not after proving yourself. Not after fixing everything. Right now. Because grace does not operate on your timeline. IT responds to your heart. Which means this: as long as you're breathing, it is not too late. Not too late to return. Not too late to believe again. Not too late to step into something greater. And maybe that's why you're still here. Not to slowly fade away, but to step into something you thought you missed. Because purpose doesn't expire, calling doesn't age, and God does not. Forget .so if your heart is still beating. If something inside you still feels unsettled. If there's even the smallest spark left, that's not random. That's an invitation to step back into alignment. An invitation to believe again. An invitation to say, maybe my story isn't over. And if you feel that even just a little, don't ignore it, don't push it away, because this moment, right now, could be the turning point. So quietly, without pressure, without fear, just honestly say this: God, reveal your purpose in me. Not perfectly, not loudly, just sincerely. Because sometimes the smallest prayer opens the biggest door. In your life, it's not ending, that it's being prepared for something eternal that light up faith.